Good morning and thank you for tuning in today. You are watching The Dietitian on a Mission. My name is Janet Calderwood. I'm a registered dietitian and I want to thank you for watching, especially because we bring some people here that have vast knowledge about nutrition and health and topics that can help you live better. I think that you are very important to me and I want to make sure that the information that's provided through the Dietitian on a Mission, it's accurate and it's useful for everyday life. And today, Jennifer Vargo is with me. She's a registered dietitian, one of my favorites, in fact. And we are going to talk about something that's really important. You hear this question a lot when people make the comment, you know, I'm on a budget. There's no possible way that I can eat healthy.
Yes.
Do you hear that?
Absolutely, time and time again.
And there could be some truth to that, could there not?
There can be. I think the challenge is that if we're not planning well, that can make it more expensive.
Have you ever heard the slogan, prior planning prevents poor performance?
That's going to be the first time for me.
First time for you. Well,
that's a good one.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah,
Because we
absolutely.
understand that people have a limited amount of money,
Yes.
and yet they have the challenge, or at least we hope, that they would be looking to buy some healthy food items.
Yeah. Planned the right way, we can nourish the body the right way for every budget, but it does take a lot of thought.
And I was thinking this morning, like when people buy cars and when they buy big capital purchases,
Right.
they put a lot of thought and energy into
do.
that. They shop around. They're looking for the best deal, this and that. Well, you know, we're dealing with a body that can't be replaced. You can't trade in your body if it gets old and rusty, right? I mean, you're stuck with it pretty
Right.
much. I mean, you can have surgery after surgery after surgery, but why not maintain the body that we have? And we can do so by being careful and judicious in what we put in our mouth, and also looking at the bottom dollar and being wise with our spending at the same time. And that's what this young lady is here to help us achieve today. We're calling it healthy food shopping and wise spending at the same time. And you said that planning is really important.
Yeah, so a lot of people that I get the opportunity to visit with, one of the questions I like to ask them about when they're going grocery shopping is, do you have a grocery list? And I'm surprised at times that not everybody is doing that. So therefore they're going to the store and they're walking through and grabbing things that look good.
Grab and go?
Grab and go. And also what happens when we do that too is we may be buying things that we already have at home too. And because of the poor planning, we're not getting the essentials and what we need to create a meal with. There can be a real step process to help us to prepare for our week ahead, and as well as to use our bottom dollar the best way that we can.
Well, and we know that we cannot be a good steward of the money that we have, number one, when we're in a hurry.
Right.
And if you're relying on your memory to help you remember what you need from the grocery store, how many times, I mean, I've done this. I'm not sure if I'm the only one, if you've maybe done this or you've maybe done this, but I'll go to the grocery store for a couple of things. I'm like, now what did I come in here for?
Exactly.
And I'm gonna, just blame it on menopause, but I'm sure that if other people are doing it, it's just a common thing.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you see, grocery stores can carry up to 45,000 food items. It can be really difficult to remember.
Right, and always so many new items coming on the market too, and naturally the grocery store is going to want to highlight them, put them on the end caps, which is so captivating.
Right,
So we see
captivating.
that, and oh my goodness,
And
I
then-
came in for such and such, but I want this now instead, and you
Right.
completely forget about the other thing.
You know, right before we came here today, before we were taping this show, I had to swing by one of the local grocery stores. And it was really interesting. All I was really doing was I was getting a few things from the store, and I noticed something. Like you said, the ends, those end spaces. Grocers, manufacturers, food manufacturers pay a premium amount to have their food items stored
Yes.
on those shelves.
That's it. That's it. Even when you're walking down the aisle and you've got all the shelves of food being right in the center of that aisle too is
Eye
a
level.
whole and that's exactly it, because it's eye level.
So I want to give you an example of what we're talking about, because if you understand some of these pitfalls of grocery shopping, then it can help you be a better, I want to just say, paying more attention to the
Yes.
little details. Okay, so when we walked in the store today, a name brand soda manufacturer, the first thing you see is, before you even get in the store, is a vending machine that sells their product, okay? Now, even if you don't go into the soda aisle where you can buy a 2-liter bottle of soda or the cans, right? They have one of those end shelves. That's the third opportunity. So you go in the soda aisle, you have the vending machine. At the end of one of the aisles is where they have the 12 packs. And then, because that's not enough, right now you're getting ready to check out.
Yep.
And they have ice cold ones for you there
Yeah.
in a 20-ounce bottle. There's 4 opportunities. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I think that that's really important for consumers to
Right.
recognize, hey, it's not just getting through, like, the candy aisle. Okay, well, 2 out of every 3 people doesn't go through the candy aisle anyway. Only a third of shoppers know. We're going to, we're going to shop on the perimeter of the store, but then you have to go through the checkout aisle.
Right.
Well, that's like real estate that's oceanfront property.
Yep. Impulse buys, right?
I mean, they pay, so that's the most expensive spot that these food manufacturers pay for.
And
'Cause they know.
even more enticing if we haven't had anything to eat before we go shopping too.
So I was waiting for the person that I was with to get something in one of the aisles, and I was just standing there, and people were, and there was like 2 people that grabbed something, and I'm like, this just is a perfect example of what we're talking about here. How this grab and go impulse buying.
Yes.
I'm just curious, when you mentioned about getting a grocery shopping list ready, how many people can actually stick with that list once they create it?
Well, and that's a key too, because if we're talking about having healthy eating and staying on a budget, having that list is what's really going to help us. A trick that some people have used that I've worked with is they'll create their grocery list. They'll even put the dollar amount next to what they anticipate the cost of that item will be. And then if there's any money left over, like let's say they estimate they're going to have they're going to buy a pineapple, and the pineapple is going to be, they're going to estimate, well, I think it's going to be about $5. And then it just so happens it's in season. In season fruit tends to be, or seasonal fruit tends to be more affordable. The pineapple ends up being only $2. So now they've got $3 extra to spend.
Bonus bucks.
Bonus bucks, and that's how they use them that way. If there's any money left over after the budgeted items have been purchased, then they can use them for fun, frivolous purchases. Otherwise, if everything's accounted for, then we stick to the list and that's it.
Or, I mean, what a concept, but maybe the fun, frivolous stuff could be, hey, you know what I save on my grocery list, I'm going to use that for a fun, frivolous vacation. How about that? Or something.
Yes.
So, I mean, we don't have to actually, but that's a good, certainly a good point. So, when you think about creating a shopping list,
Right.
what are things that should actually be on there?
Yeah. Well, there's one way that people can start to be able to create their list is to start by looking at the flyers for the stores that are in their area. See what's on sale. Base your list off of these items in particular. There are some staples, things that we should probably always try to have at home because they're just good general things to have, such as milk, eggs, bread, maybe some different types of root vegetables, carrots, maybe celery, potatoes, things like this.
So basically, general items that we know are going to be important components of a healthy diet.
Right.
Fruits and vegetables are always a framework for a healthy diet to start with, and I think that should be on the list. We think whole grains should be on the list somewhere.
Yes.
We think that probably low-fat dairy products should be on the list somewhere.
Yes.
Some lean meats and protein sources, whether it comes from animal or
Or
plant-based
beans.
proteins,
Yeah.
that would be on the list somewhere. And then being mindful, there are some things that will last longer than others, and healthy staples and things that you can put on the list. So, you know, even if, like you said, in coordination with the weekly flyer
Right.
and knowing when the weekly flyer is up so that
Right.
you can still get those specials.
Yes.
And then fruits and vegetables. Okay, what's on the weekly flyer this week that would be on special for me?
Right.
And then trying to use that as a guide, working together.
Definitely. And that can really help with the person not only creating their grocery list, but if it's used the right way, then we're also thinking about how are we going to use these foods.
How are we
It's
gonna
one
use
thing to get, you know, there's a lot of wonderful sales that are out there, but is it something that you're going to use? So that's another part of the planning too. What's the use of buying, you know, a pound of bacon, let's say, but you don't, what are you going to do with it?
We don't want you buying bacon. I'm just kidding. But right, and brings up a good point. So, you know, there's a lot of times people will go through the newspaper.
Right.
And so you have the flyer, and now you have a whole bunch of coupons.
Yes.
And you know that these coupons, not too much do they say no expiration date, but they have an expiration date. And again, I think that's a perfect example. Well, I can get this on sale, but if you're not going to use it, if you're not going to buy it, and it's going to be a waste of money, you're not doing anybody a favor.
Right.
And that brings up a very good point because, you know, when people use a coupon, they'll say, oh, well, I can get this on sale. They need to look at the price per unit, don't they?
Yes,
Can
absolutely.
we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. That's very helpful. And thank goodness in our stores we do have that information available to us. When we're walking down the aisles, the little sticker on the end of the shelf gives us that information. And it's good to know that because there's times that we think buying, for example, maybe something that's canned might be cheaper than buying something that's fresh or perhaps even frozen. So,
Right. So if somebody, let's just say somebody has a coupon for a name brand, I'm gonna pick on the Dole pineapple that we have on the table there in the can. But if that, with the coupon,
yeah.
is still not as good of a deal as using the generic store brand,
Right.
then you're not getting your the better deal.
Right. That's something to consider as well. The key is that sometimes we get branded. We assume that because a product has a name brand on it, it's got to be better. It's got to be better than something that's generic.
Because it's more expensive.
So therefore you get what you pay for, but that's not always the case. So
And if people look at the label, they can compare, contrast,
Right.
and see that usually the quality of the manufacturer brand is identical to that of the generic store brand.
That's it. That's it. So a great way to live healthy and on a budget is being flexible with your willingness to step outside of your brand, if you will. There's so many different products out there. We've got so much to choose from. And so there's the advantage. Look at all the products that are available. When you get to that section, like let's say we're shopping for peanut butter. You know, you get to your shelf and you're, oh, I specifically like this brand, but you just happen to see that the next brand over happens to be on sale. It's a better unit price. Go for the other one.
And also be mindful, you know, sometimes what really gets consumers going is they see these buy one, get one free sales.
Yes.
Well, it's buy one, get one free. Remember, I always use this, I made this up myself. Well, buy one, get one free. You may be getting one free. You're getting 2 calories for the price of one, and you get fat twice as fast, right? If you're not careful.
Right,
Well, I'm getting them for my grandkids. Okay, so is it on the list?
Right.
Right? So
Exactly.
remember to, and usually, this isn't always true. This is not always true, but you will find, like Jennifer said, some of these food manufacturers have a relationship with the sales, and they want consumers to be drawn to their product. And so sometimes and often you will see a lot of unhealthy food items being offered buy one get one free.
Right, right. As well as coupons seem to me, seem to be more geared towards that because, I mean, think of our lowly fresh produce. As you said, our fruits and vegetables need to be a staple on our list every time we're going to the grocery store. But you don't often find coupons for fresh fruits and vegetables.
Like buy one get one free apple.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. Have you?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Buy one get one free broccoli stalks.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But we're hoping that by providing you with this information today, that you can at least be mindful of some of the pitfalls. Again, I'm going to use that term because I think that's an appropriate term to find out where your money is being a little bit wasted and where you can do a little bit better.
Yes.
Especially, with rising costs in so many different areas of the country. And the more money you have, I love the slogan, save money, live better. I think that's a great concept for all of us, and it doesn't matter, but if you have extra money, then you can save it for a rainy day.
Yep.
Okay, now Jennifer, I want to talk because some people, we're going to use some of these examples that we have on the table to compare price of different things, and then we're going to talk about, a lot of people have these ideas about canned foods that they are just really somehow they're inferior to a fresh counterpart or whatever. And maybe we should just first of all cover that there's a lot of information available to us now that shows that some of these food items, whether it's canned, frozen, or even fresh, the nutritional profile is very, very similar.
This is true. This is true. Whenever it's available to us, it's always ideal to go for the fresh. The next option would be the frozen, but sometimes it's necessary that it's within our means, it's within our budget, that our choice is going to be canned. And you're absolutely right. It can be just as nutritious as choosing the fresh or the frozen.
I think we need to be mindful of the amount of sodium in canned vegetables, and then certainly with fruit is, for people that have diabetes or even are watching their calories or what have you. We don't need the fruit in the heavy syrup.
Right. Yes. So we do have options. Like you said, when it comes to the vegetables, we can look for where it's no salt added or low sodium. If we're not able to find our particular vegetable in one of those varieties and it does have sodium in it though, we can put the vegetable in the colander and rinse it off with water, which can decrease the sodium that's in there.
That's a great idea. And then the other thing, and whether a person is buying fresh, frozen, or canned, is that, like anything that, like the frozen vegetables, they still need to try to stay away from, be mindful that there could be sodium in there too, especially ones with sauces and things.
Yes, absolutely. So looking at your labels, reading your nutrition facts information, reading the ingredients is still very important. We don't want to assume because it's frozen, it's fresh, it probably doesn't have any sauces or things like this on it. We just want to make sure to read those labels so we don't run into that pitfall.
All right, good point. Now let's talk about the different costs of some of these items. Okay, so we're talking about saving money today.
Right.
And my curiosity is, okay, so nowadays all of these grocery stores have like a section of fresh cut up fruit. I mean, we make things very convenient for people.
Yes.
What does the price of convenience cost us though?
That's right. Convenience is costly. It's right, because somebody else is having to do the work, so that always adds up.
So they're paying for it.
Yeah, you're paying for that, absolutely. So anytime we can take some of that ownership back and start processing the foods ourselves, it's always going to be better. So, and there again too, going back to our planned meals as well. But yeah, when it comes to our fresh produce, we can go to the grocery store and we've got some fresh pineapple that might be cut up in the grocery store. Maybe there's canned, and then of course there's the fresh pineapple. But when you do the cost comparison between those three items, the cut up fresh pineapple is always going to be more expensive than buying a whole fresh pineapple.
Almost twice as expensive, in fact. We did without getting the numbers to you, but I can tell you that we compared the fresh cut-up pineapple right here that we have on the table. Thank you, Rick, for showing that. And then the fresh pineapple that's whole and everything. The cost of that fresh pineapple that's cut up is probably enough for 2 people.
Right.
And it was $1.25 per serving. And then the whole pineapple, which would be equivalent to probably 5 servings, I'm guessing, would be almost the same price for the entire thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even more.
That's the thing.
Actually, it'd be a little less expensive, more affordable, and that would be a big difference.
This just came to me too. The thing that's fun about the fresh pineapple, we could cut off the top, put it in water, and then grow our own pineapple from it.
How about that?
You know? So then,
Right, and
so
then you
could
could
even
wait
more out
2
of it too.
years
Yeah,
and then do this again, right? But
Exactly.
that's a very good point. And the same thing with the cantaloupe. So there is something, everything that they make easier for you. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you had a choice between, stopping at the store to get some fresh cut up pineapple and other healthy food items that can be made readily available for you at that area of the grocery store, that would certainly be a lot better than swinging by a fast food chain, getting a deep fried chicken plate with fried potatoes and maybe something, a milkshake. So, I mean, you've got to look at where people are.
Definitely. And that's the thing. Everybody's budget is different, and how they need to spend it is going to be different. And for some people, if this helps them to get more fruits and vegetables into the diet, have at it. Absolutely. Hands down, definitely money well spent.
Yeah, and be mindful that if you're looking for other opportunities where you can save money, that would be one that you could do.
Yes.
What about, even like you can buy fresh chicken, right? You'd have to cut it up yourself, or they have frozen chicken breasts that are already grilled and pre-cooked.
Right.
Again, the price of convenience is going to cost you.
Right. And the catch too is, again, when we're having to look at the nutrition facts information, because the products that have been made more convenient for us, the one that's been grilled and pre-seasoned, pre-marinated, might have a higher amount of sodium in it than, of course, the fresh chicken that has no seasoning whatsoever, that we can control the ingredients that go into it and make better choices because of that.
And people can, even if they're maybe eating by themselves, they could cook a whole bunch of these chickens up and ahead of time piece of chicken breast or whatever and individually freeze them so they have all this done.
And
that's prior planning.
That's it. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's how people eat healthy on a budget. It's all about planning. So that means that when the grocery store does have really awesome deals, such as chicken breasts, let's say, and maybe usually when we're cooking a meal, maybe we're only using 1 or 2, but we just got a package of 8 of them, we need to go home and be real smart about how we're going to store and use these foods. So that means that we need to have other things on hand, saran wrap, let's say, maybe even Ziploc freezer bags, so that we can wrap these things up, store them in the freezer for a later date, so we're using the ingredients wise.
The one thing that's great about freezer storage is it actually can really prolong the length and duration of the food product, maintaining its freshness and everything. What about little baggies like this? Do they serve a purpose?
Oh, yes. This is helpful because that we've got a lot of different sizes to be able to work with. And in the grocery store, I think one of the potential impulse buys, something that can be more costly, are buying pre-packaged snacks.
Like individual packaged snacks?
Yes, like nuts, for example, or 100-calorie packs. We're going to pay more money for that than if we bought the package ourselves and then broke them up into our own little baggies and made our own snacks.
Like for today, for example, the mixed nut package, like you can buy the big mixed nut container. Now, don't ever assume that because it's a healthy snack that you'll be able to limit the amount that you're able to consume. So having baggies like this to control your portion is important, but also for cost saving. Listen to this. They had mixed nut individual containers you could buy. I think there were 6 in a package.
Okay.
And those were 64 cents per serving.
Okay.
If you, or excuse me, yeah, no, they were actually 90-something cent per serving.
Wow.
And if someone actually purchased the big bulk container of
Right.
nuts and broke it down, it was reduced it by 50%.
Oh my gosh.
So that's pretty significant.
It is significant.
And you know, these baggies come in handy. And the great thing is you know, you've got to look for opportunities where you can, you know, if you're packing your kids' snacks and stuff, you know, sometimes like even like Frito-Lay, again, right by the cash register, 10 for $10. But I mean, people need to be very, very careful, because the easier it is for you to buy some of these food manufacturer snacks and things, usually the less likely it is good for you.
right. This is
Okay.
true.
And then what other last minute pieces of advice can we give to people about grocery shopping and saving money? What do you think?
Oh, I go back to the list. I think that's so crucial,
And
and
don't
really
forget to
having
bring
a
the
plan
list
and bring
with
the
you.
list. Yes, bring the list. There's a lot of opportunities out there too. Grocery stores will take competitors' coupons. You have
That's good.
loyalty programs as well that you could be able to get into to help
Okay.
you to be able to save money that way too. That's always a smart way to go. Knowing what you're going to do with the foods. Don't just buy foods because they just sound good, but having a plan for it. So that, and there too, I think it's important for all of us that before we even go to the grocery store, do an inventory of what you have. How many times have you gone to the store and, oh, I think I need onions, and you get home and you have a whole drawer full of them?
Yeah, and don't use things if you're not going to use them, or you know, or don't buy things unless you're going to use them. Like,
Right.
you know, sometimes people shop at these huge warehouse shopping stores. Oh, this is a good deal. But
Yes.
then what happens is, in some cases, consumers tend to eat more of it because they want to get rid of it.
Yes.
And so you're not doing anybody any favors. You know,
Right.
hurry up and eat all this food. I want to get rid of it so I can, you know, buy
Right.
something else. So we just have to be careful and, you know, be prudent in how we're spending our money, where we're spending our money. I like the idea of doing the inventory, because if things are going to be going bad, like
Right.
especially dairy products and things, then it's not going to be helpful or useful at all. I hope that you learned something today. I know it's always a pleasure to share this valuable information. Thank you, Jen,
You're
for being
welcome.
here. And we look forward to seeing you next week on CTN.